Good evening, YouTubers. Tonight I want to talk about having a plan B. What are you going to do after COVID? And how to prepare for the world after COVID. How to prepare for the world that we're about to go into, which is what some people call the New World Order. What other people are calling the Great Reset. How to manage those things. There's going to be no perfect solution for anyone, but there's things you can do to hedge some of the worst of this, in my opinion. So I just want to give you my idea of what a good plan B might look like. This won't be for everyone. This will be for just maybe a small percentage of the population. And of course, I welcome other people's ideas and opinions on how things might unfold and how you might either hedge against them or plan for them if they actually happen. First off, we don't live in a world where you really have any personal privacy or financial privacy anymore. That's part of the reason why I tend to suggest living in a small town or community in North America or Latin America or wherever your bug out place is. And if you really want privacy, you have to get completely off social media. Or you have to do some balancing of what you want. You won't have complete privacy, but you can still use social media for various things. If you're going to have more of a balanced approach, I would suggest living in another country, because when social media comes and bites you on the butt, it won't end your world or end your life like it might in North America or Europe. Although you can get canceled. In Latin America, it's hard to cancel your bank accounts and your businesses and stuff like that. Anyways, usually I talk about three things. And these aren't all the things you need, but one, gold, Bitcoin, and cash. Now, a lot of people think when I suggest owning Bitcoin, it's because I believe it's going up in price, which I think is probably true over a long period of time. Right now, today, March 7th, 2021, tonight, it was at 51,000 a coin. To me, it's fairly overvalued, but that's just my opinion. But the reason I suggest people own Bitcoin is not really because it's going to go up in value. It's a hedge in that sense that if there's massive inflation, then it will do okay, as will gold. But the reason I suggest Bitcoin is because it's a payment processor. So all you have to do is download a wallet on your laptop, and your client, if you have clients or a boss, can send you Bitcoin. The reason I mention that is there's many, in my world, there's a lot of people who will send you Bitcoin and prefer to send you Bitcoin. If your customers and clients want to send you Bitcoin, make it easy for them. Have a wallet or multiple wallets. You can have a wallet on your laptop. You can have a wallet on your iPhone. You can have a wallet on your Android. You can have a wallet on a hard drive like Trezor. That's just one example. There's many more. I'm not saying Trezor's the best. I'm just saying for an offline hard wallet, you have those choices. You could have an offline hard wallet. You can have a laptop wallet, and all these have pluses or minuses. But if you have a couple wallets that you can have your clients send your Bitcoin to, and then you can transfer it to your own wallet, that's one thing you can do. But that's the main reason why I suggest that, because you can become uncancelable if you have a Bitcoin wallet. Now, there's a lot of wallets. I don't want to get into them all, but there's quite a few wallets where you can have a wallet on your phone or on your laptop. You can get paid in Bitcoin. You can get paid in Ethereum. You can get paid in some of the privacy coins, which are escaping my memory right now, but there's a couple of them. You can get paid in ETH kind of coins like BAT. I like BAT. I'm just suggesting that as it's an interesting coin. Went from 20, well, I don't know what the low was, but I got in at 20 cents. Now it's at 69 cents, 71 cents. I don't know what it is done. It was at 69 cents, but those kind of coins I think will just go up flat line and probably won't go up that much. But that's just my opinion. But as a coin that some people might use for commerce, it's interesting, as is Ethereum and excuse me, as is Bitcoin. That's the main reason I talk about Bitcoin, is having a way for people to pay you, give you money, having a way for you to send money to whoever you want to send money to and to buy things. Nowadays with Bitcoin, you can sell $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, let's say into your accountant's wallet. Your accountant can give you $1,000 in cash. That would be over the counter. You could do that with a lawyer, a friend. Or you can send your Bitcoin to a place where they'll send you an ATM card and they'll deposit $1,000, and then send you the ATM card, and you can just use it at ATMs all over the world. So you can pay for almost anything nowadays with a Bitcoin ATM card, or just send it to your own account, or just do an over-the-counter exchange with a friend. Anyways, I got this Tiki, which I don't know why I bought it, because it ain't that great. Tastes like bubblegum, although it's red and orange looking. Anyhow, that's number one. Number two is gold. Why do I suggest gold? Because all over the world you can take a gold coin and sell it really easy. What I suggest for most people if they're coming to Latin America is Krugerrands, U.S. Gold Eagles, and then the third would be Canadian Maple Leafs. Those are some of the most marketable coins in Latin America. The Krugerrand is very marketable all over the world. American Gold Eagles and Canadian Gold Eagles are marketable in most of the world too. The Canadian Gold, or the Canadian Maple Leafs, are not the only coin that's pure gold, but it's the closest thing to pure gold, as opposed to American Eagles, or as opposed to Krugerrands. Krugerrands are 90% gold. But if you get a 1 ounce gold coin, it's 1 ounce of gold in it. It just weighs more than an ounce. And most of the world is used to seeing Krugerrands and dealing with them, that they're cool. Now, as far as transporting your gold, if you're coming to Latin America for your plan B, let me just say this. Because gold is at $1,700 an ounce, and previously was at $2,100 or $2,075, buying a whole bunch of 1 ounce gold coins might not be the best deal. I would suggest buying 1/4 ounce gold coins of those previous coins I just mentioned and bringing those down. Part of the reason I suggest 1/4 ounce is because you can sell a 1/4 ounce or a 1/10 ounce if you want to get 1/10 ounces. But 1/10 ounces have a high premium right now. They usually almost always do. But with a 1/10 ounce and a 1/4 ounce, you can just go down to the jewelry store and sell them. When you're in Latin America, there's not a lot of coin shops, and even when there are coin shops, usually you get the most money for your gold at a jewelry store. So you go where the jewelry stores, like in Mexico City, there's a place right in the Zocalo. You can sell gold there. Although in the past I sold gold in other areas of Mexico City, what I won't go into because it's really not about that. But in general, in Central America, there are some coin shops, and you can sell them privately amongst other expats too. That's another way. But the smaller the coin, the easier it is to get liquidity for it. That's why I suggest 1/4 ounce coins. Also too, with 1/4 ounce gold coins, when you're coming on the airplane, if you have just a couple of them in your pocket, they're not suspicious. I've never heard of anyone having them confiscated, although it has happened in the past. So that's why I suggest that. But if you're flying, a few gold coins in your briefcase or in your backpack or in your pocket, I've never had any troubles. Now, other gold coins that are worth considering, but they're not as liquid, is European gold coins like British sovereigns, Swiss Helvetias. A Swiss Helvetia, a French rooster, is 0.1867 gold an ounce, or 0.1867, so about 1/8 of an ounce. British sovereigns are almost a 1/4 ounce, not quite, but 0.2354. What I like about those, they're really small gold coins, And some of my friends and I, we've traveled from Central America to South America, and I've never had a problem on the airplane. Now, most of the time, as my viewers know, I travel overland, so that's the best way to do it if you can do it. I've never had anyone ever go through my bags in Central America or Mexico ever, not even once. So, for what it's worth. But the days of bringing hundreds of ounces on the airplane, probably from the United States, are probably over. Although you can legally do it, you just have to declare it. But there's different schools of thought. You want to Google it or YouTube it, because there's a lot of interesting information. There's a lot of conflicting information. So I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's not easy the way it used to be. Okay, cash. I think most people need US dollar cash, since the dollar is the reserve currency of the world. But if you're in Africa or parts of Asia, having euros is handy and useful too. But for Latin America, all you really need is US dollar cash. I think 20s are good. In general, if you really think this shit's going to hit the fan, you'd probably want 6 months worth of dollars and mixed in with local currency wherever you're living. Which you would, I'm not going to tell you where to store your cash, but there's places you can store it pretty safely. No one will know about it. Same with the gold coins. So in a scenario where there's going to be a great reset, you want to have part of your wealth that's liquid in case there's a shutdown in the banking system or the ATM system. So you want to have cash, and local currency cash. And you want to have cash of that region, like parts of Africa accept dollars and euros. Most of Asia accept euros and dollars. So you want cash that you can convert easily into local currency. And you want some dollars and some euros just in case. Now in Latin America, almost everywhere accepts dollars. But once you're in South America, there's more euros being used down there. So it wouldn't hurt to have a few hundred euros or 500 or 1,000 euros in your back pocket. Now, it used to be you could get the 500 euro note. That's kind of hard to get nowadays, so you have to settle for the 200 euro notes or smaller. So that's, as far as your plan B, that's what you're going to need as far as transferring your wealth and bringing your wealth. The next part of the video is about, I think one of the most important things is to have a way to earn income. I personally think we're in the internet age now, where with all the government intervention in the economy, more and more wealth and income is going to be created online. So I personally believe most of the viewers would benefit from having an online income. And there's a lot of different ways. I would say starting a service business that's online, like helping people create websites or designing a website. There's so many avenues, but you get what I'm saying. You need a skill that you can help people with that they need help with. Another one is teaching English online. As most of the viewers know, the Chinese schools pay between 25 and 30 bucks an hour. There's one school in South America, I forget the name of it, but it's domiciled in Venezuela of all places. They pay about 12 bucks an hour. I forget their name. But nowadays, most countries have a lot of online schools that teach English. And nowadays, to teach English, you usually need a certificate or a TESOL. And it's better if you get the more recognizable ones from first world countries. I don't want to get too much into that, but really, before you come down, if you can gain skills where you can teach something online, like teach English, and earn 15 to 20 bucks an hour, you're going to be better than most people. The better solution, though, is to sell a service or a product online where you're either coaching the person on the skill set or you're creating the product like logos. I'm not really interested in logos, but that's an example where people pay 5, 10, 20, 30 bucks, put a logo, and then put a logo on your on your YouTube website. If you're good at stuff like that and you enjoy doing stuff like that, you can do that. But one of the more popular ones that people do down here is they teach English online. Now, you can teach English locally. It doesn't pay as well. And if you earn 15 or 20 or 30 bucks an hour teaching online to the Chinese schools, you can just work part-time. Another way you can do this if you want a job is you can do sales jobs. I don't talk about this as much on my channel, but there are sales jobs that pay up to $30-40 an hour with commission. And that is another job, but again, you're not going to be independent from the system, but you can get a good amount of income going, and you can work part-time, and then you can work on your brick and mortar business, or you can work on your business wherever you are in the world. Like some people I know here in Central America make honey. Some people grow stuff like flowers, herbs, spices, that kind of thing. I don't want to get too much into it. The Mennonites do that quite a bit, and they sell it in the markets. They have their own shops. They also have their own bakeries. But then the thing is, if you can have a skill that you can sell online for a high enough amount, like $15 to $20, you can live pretty well in Latin America. Not all of Latin America, but most of Latin America. But ultimately, I think we're going to a situation where if you're going to become uncancelable, you have to have your own email list. You have to have your own website. And to make money or monetize that, you can use AdSense, but that's not recommended. But what I'm suggesting is you create a product or service, or you sell someone else's product or service and earn it as affiliate income, or you sell a product, like say an ebook, not necessarily on Amazon, but that's one way. And to do all these things, I forgot to mention this, you're going to need a PayPal account to get paid. That's why before you leave, you need to have your US bank account set up and hooked up to PayPal so you can get paid from all over the world. That's also, again, why I mentioned Bitcoin, because if you have a Bitcoin wallet, a lot of your clients will actually prefer to pay you in Bitcoin. And if you get these things going, ultimately it takes time to do all these things, but if you get like a service like teaching English online or being a math tutor, that's another popular, skill that people don't think about that's in demand. You can earn enough to support yourself while you build up an online income through affiliate marketing or selling a product you either made or promoting another person's product. Another thing that's really not talked about too much, it does actually surprise me a little, is all the online sales jobs. Now, if you're not into sales, and that's not your thing, I understand, but it can be a way to earn quite a lot of money in a short period of time. And you can do it all on the phone. Now, you can do online sales, that's one way, but specifically I'm speaking of talking on the phone. I don't want to get into all the specifics of that, but those are the things you're going to have to think about, consider if you're going to work, if you're not retired and you don't have a retirement check coming in. So the most important thing you're going to need is have an income that's partially or all online, having a skill set that you might be able to do in a brick and mortar business, or either renting some land or buying some land where you can grow stuff. Now, I mention that because I know people who rent land and buy land, and then I just know so many things are going on, like making honey or keeping bees and then making honey. Spices, but I don't want to get into that because it's just complicated. But in Guatemala, there's so many different elevations. There's so many things you can grow and sell to either in the market, or usually what you do, like in the Philippines, is what people I knew who did this, and also too here in Central America, they sell into the local restaurants. And now with COVID, they're not doing that as much, but when things pick back up, that's a nice little part-time income you can do. There's even, like, the Mennonites sell a lot of bakery products. Well, there's a lot of other gringos making their own bakery products that before COVID they sold in their shops. Now they set up a website and then deliver. So anyways, but that's probably the biggest sticking point for most people for having a plan B, is having an alternative income to their job that's enough to support them, that lets them live anywhere in the States or anywhere in Latin America. And that's why I mentioned it. That's the biggest, hardest thing. It's going to, not for everyone, but for most people, it's getting some kind of income where they can live wherever they want and play wherever they want and travel around wherever they want. And one thing I know some exes told me this, I regret, is like Patrick, he closed all his accounts before he came down here from California. And then when he needed a bank account in the States for a PayPal account to get paid from some of his consulting type stuff, it was very, very difficult. And quite a few people make a mistake. They think they need to close all their accounts. Actually, a U.S. bank account is really important. Hook it up to PayPal, and you can get clients from all over the world. And people actually prefer to pay through PayPal because then they can charge back or whatever. There's more trust because they can see you just can't take the money if you don't deliver. That's why I keep mentioning that. I personally would have 2 or 3 accounts in these states if you're from, or wherever you're from, and have PayPal all set up and your credit cards, not all of them, but some of them all set up so you can do everything online. Get your income coming in, pay your credit cards if you actually need to use your credit cards, and it will really come in handy. Now, after you get your bank account set up, or once you get your financial infrastructure set up to get money from your clients or to run an online business, you can, when you move to whatever you're going to go to, if it's going to be offshore, set up local accounts, either in your name or an SA corporation. Or before you leave the States, I would seriously consider setting up an LLC so you can bill your American clients to the LLC, and then have a separate credit rating from your own, which is another way to create more income and more credit and help you in your offshore life to fund things. That's what I would do, is have an LLC set up before I left and have it seasoned a little bit before I left, and have all the credit facilities, if you can, set up before you leave. I would just mean the bank accounts, and try to get a few credit lines before you leave. You can get secured credit lines or unsecured, but if you're willing to sign your own, or if you're willing to guarantee your corporation, which I don't always recommend, but if you are willing to do it, then you get unsecured right away, assuming you have good credit. But you can always get secured credit, or you can get credit. Well, I don't want to get into it, but you can get credit. It's not the hardest thing to do with a new SA corporation, but you do need to get it set up, articles and all that, and then the bank accounts. You need to do that all before you leave, and get it seasoned for a while. Then after 2 or 3 years, you'll be golden. But the third part of this is for your plan B is, especially this is for people who are going to leave the country or who want to expat. There's going to be a lot of cultural issues you're going to have to learn to deal with. And then you're going to have to learn where to make friends, how to meet people. If you're single, how to date and mate. And in a foreign culture, that can be very difficult, very stressful. And usually that's another sticking point where people leave because they can't handle it. But there's no easy answer to that, except for do your research and your homework, and then try it. So to speak, try it before you buy it. Like, before you even get bank accounts or residency when you go offshore, just live in some place to see if you like it. If you're single, start dating people. See if you even like the culture there. And I always suggest people put on a backpack and travel around the world, or wherever their targets are, like Latin America. Travel to multiple countries in Latin America to see where you like to go. In general, Mexico and Central America are more user-friendly to the expat. It's easier to get started and fit in. Once you get into South America, you're not necessarily in the deep end of the pool, but it's a little bit more difficult and a little bit more stressful. And usually you have to have more Spanish. There's not as many people who speak English. And it really depends where you are too in South America. But once you get off the beaten path, like if you're in the middle of nowhere in Bolivia, or if you're in the middle of nowhere in Brazil, or even Peru, there's not going to be a lot of people speaking English, just so as a heads up. And South America usually has more Europeans than North Americans. Central America has more North Americans, meaning Americans and Canadians, if that makes a difference to you. So if you go to Mexico, it's really easy to fit in. There's so many gringos there, so many people that speak English. It's not really hard to get by with very little Spanish. It's not even really that hard to meet women or the opposite sex, whatever your situation is. People are used to dealing with foreigners, like say in Mexico. Once you get into Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, there's not as many tourists and there's not as many expats, so you'll need more and more Spanish. It can seem more alien to you if you're not used to it. So keep that in mind. You might have to ease into it. I say that because if you run in, buy real estate, get your residency, which I know you want to do, or some of you guys want to do, and then you don't like it, you put in all that money and time for nothing, it's kind of wasted. That's why I don't really suggest people buy land. If you have your gold coins and your Bitcoin, you can just sit on it, wait till you find a place you like. Even then, I don't really recommend you buy real estate. I really suggest people rent. In fact, there are still places you can rent so cheap, and you can have a little garden in your backyard and even keep your bees. I know, well, I don't want to say too much, but I know some people who keep bees in their backyard. So, it's just, you'd be surprised what you can do here in Latin America. I'm not sure even what the rules are in the U.S. on bees. Growing up, I knew some Mormons that kept bees, and they did very, very well, but I do know there's rules and regulations on that stuff. Anyhow, for me, if you're going to have a plan B, and if you want to deal with life after COVID, you're going to have to keep these things in mind. If you're going to stay in the U.S. or Canada, I would consider moving to a smaller community. Even if I was in Canada or the United States, I would still consider having a second income that's online, even if you have a job, unless you have a really high-paying job and you're really unique or something, and assuming you have lots of savings and lots of gold coins and all that. You probably don't need an online income. But if you're young enough, you're going to have to learn to transition into this new economy by working online at a job, by creating online income that's separate from your job, like affiliate marketing or actually creating digital products. When I talk about digital products, I mean more like books, but it doesn't have to be books. It could be a podcast. It could be stuff like that, or it could just be a service that you provide people. Like, since people are teaching English online, I like to use that example because so many people do that. But you can tutor people in math online. You can consult online. That's one thing I haven't really mentioned, but once you get good at some of these things, you can actually set yourself up as a consultant and teach other people how to do what you do and how to build a business, how to build up an email list and then marketing to your email list, stuff like that. But that's what I think you're going to need. I think we're going into a world where if you want to become uncancelable, you have to have bank accounts in other countries. You have to have gold coins, silver coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, different ways to get paid, LLCs. If you're from the States, an LLC, even if you're not from the UK, an LLC in the United States can be really nice. A lot of the big YouTubers in Europe, as a matter of fact, they set up LLCs in Nevada, and then their YouTube channel is in their LLC and their Nevada LLC. That famous Swedish guy, I'm pretty sure he uses a LLC from Nevada, which, from my understanding, for people from Sweden is tax-free. I'm not an accountant. You might want to put that by your accountant, but that's why they do that. Not just the tax-free part, but if your channel gets, not just demonetize your channel, but they take your channel off. It's no problem. It's not in your own personal name. You can start another channel, another LLC. There's lots of things you can do with LLCs. That's just one of many things. But another nice thing of having an LLC, you have a credit that's separate from your own. So if the government or corporations ever come down on your personal credit, or if you have a bankruptcy in your personal name and your own credit, you have your LLC, which still has good credit, assuming one, or you have multiple of those and one of them has good credit. That way you have something you can use for if you need credit. And sometimes when you're in the offshore world, having U.S. credit at lower interest rates compared to banks down here, like banks down here can charge you 30 to 50% for a loan. It might be cheaper just to use your credit in the States. That's what I would suggest. Anyways, that's what I think you need. You need income that's not based on a job, income that's from an online source, and then a service that you can provide. So you have multiple streams of income that you can have coming in if you lose your job, even if you stick it out in the States or Canada, Canada. And then if you can live outside of the United States or Canada, you can live really, really affordable in Latin America. In much of Latin America, you live on $1,500 really easy. If you're more like me and you want to spend a lot less, that's easy too. You can survive on $1,000 really, really easy. At least if you're not in Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, certain parts of Mexico. Even in Mexico, once you get into southern Mexico, you can live very, very cheap. You can even still live cheap in Mexico on the beaches in a few areas. I know of a studio. It's offshore of Mazatlan on one of the little islands there. You can rent a studio for like under $200. Anyways, we'll soon be coming out of COVID and we're going to be going into the Great Reset. And for some of you guys, these are some things you can consider if you want to bug out to another country, or if you're tired of big city living. Those are the things you need to, or I would consider, so you can make a good decision on how you want to plan for all this, how you want to cope with it all. I think more and more people are going to cope with it by leaving, especially anyone with a pension. I just see the crackdown in the United States and Canada and the EU is just continuing. And you can do so much in Latin America, or Asia for that matter, or parts of Africa. I don't want to just limit to people to Latin America. I'm just saying you can live a PT lifestyle where you live part of the year in Latin America, part of the year in Western, Eastern Europe, part of the year in Asia, whatever. But you can do that much easier if you have an online income and you have all your bank accounts onshore and offshore set up to deal with whatever might happen. And I would even include having good credit. And if you don't, at least having good credit in an LLC so you can avail yourself of a lot of things you're going to need, because we're going to a world where everything's going to be online. So you're going to have something like an entity, your own personal credit. You're going to have multiple bank accounts. I even think you're going to have Bitcoin wallets, Ethereum, other kind of wallets, because I think that's where we're ultimately going. I'm not saying it's going to be private or anything like that. I'm just saying that's where we're going. And you're going to need to consider, at least till we get all the way to this new world, whatever it is, having some offshore accounts, either in your own name or an LLC or a SA corporation or whatever corporation of whatever country you're thinking about. Anyways, that's it for tonight. Like, share, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Good night.